Hi, beautiful people. How are ya? I hope you're having a great day. So I looked up the definition of autoimmunity. We've talked about this in the past, and I needed a refresher, even though it really hadn't been that long. And I wanted to look at how fibro compares to autoimmune disorders. So today we're going to look at the damage that might occur in our body, the inflammation that is apparently in our body, and the autoantibodies found in our body. I'm sure there's a lot more that I missed, but this may lead to more discussions if you all enjoy this topic and if you have more questions that I can explore to get answers for us. Just let me know. Here we go. In order to classify a condition as autoimmune, 3 hallmarks must be present: damage from the immune system attack, inflammation as part of the immune and healing process, and autoantibodies, the immune system proteins that target a part of our body. So this is what needs to be proven in order for fibro to be declared autoimmune. This means, according to Very Well Health, autoimmunity is an immune system turned against its body. Your immune system mistakes a healthy type of cell or tissue in your body for a dangerous pathogen like a virus or bacterium. It then attacks and tries to destroy the target. This leads to tissue damage, inflammation, and other symptoms. For many years, fibro has been explained as a central sensitivity disorder. And I still think it fits, but I don't believe that it's the whole picture. And, in my very first videos almost 2 years ago, this is what I stated. IBS, migraine, and ME/CFS have also been explained this way. Alternative hypotheses views fibro as a stress-related dysautonomia with neuropathic pain features. We know that fibro is a complex, multi-symptom system illness. According to research, fibro does show the hallmarks of autoimmunity. I've mentioned this before, but it's always worth mentioning again. First, is there damage to the body? In small fiber neuropathy, there is burning, tingling, or prickling called paresthesia, and there are short bursts of pain and loss of sensation. This may affect the feet first and then progress upwards. At later stages, this condition can affect the hands, and in some cases, small fiber neuropathy disrupts autonomic functions. Yes, small fiber neuropathy has been found in 49% of fibromyalgia patients. Not everyone has it, so they're calling it a subgroup. Nonetheless, that's almost half and not a coincidence. According to this study, unmyelinated bundles appear to be damaged in fibromyalgia. There are fewer unmyelinated nerve fiber bundles in the skin, but normal levels of myelinated nerve fibers. Is there inflammation? Yes, It's been found in the brain and nerves in and around the spinal cord. But the previous decade has documented the role of microglia and astrocytes, including their role in the pathogenesis of chronic pain. Quote, neuroinflammation is characterized by the activation of peripheral glia, including Schwann cells, in the nerve and satellite glia cells, in the dorsal root ganglia and trigeminal ganglia, and central glia, including microglia, astrocytes, and oligodendrocytes in the spinal cord and brain, unquote. Satellite glia cells and neurons in the dorsal root ganglia outside the spinal cord were activated, as well as a small number of macrophages and myelinated fiber tracts in the dorsal root ganglia, but not in this spinal cord, were shown in this study. In addition, a 2022 study showed that people with fibro have high levels of 19 inflammatory serum proteins, which are associated with widespread inflammation. They used RNA sequencing of B cells to determine inflammatory proteins in sera of fibro and healthy control individuals. They found an increased IFN score in fibro patients, confirming the disease is associated with IFN signatures in B cells. And remember that B cells are those cells that produce antibodies. They're absolutely necessary for our body to attack an invading bacteria, virus, or toxin, whereas a T cell destroys the body's own cells that have themselves been taken over by viruses or become cancerous. So IFN stands for interferon, and interferons are a group of signaling proteins released in response to viral infections. They're a type of cytokine and are involved in inflammation, immunoregulation, tumor cell recognition, and T cell responses. So this leads us to our next discussion. The requirement of autoantibodies. Are autoantibodies present? According to that same study, this one, the IgG of fibro binds to both human SGCs and human sensory neurons and other cells, but less intensely. Taken together, the results suggest that fibro's IgG contains autoreactive antibodies that bind antigens expressed in the dorsal root ganglia. We've talked about this. This is a very important study, and my goodness, I've never seen so much discussion online about any topic with fibro compared to that particular study. And in other studies, the autoantibodies, anti-68/48 KDA and anti-45 KDA, were found in 15.6% and 37.1% respectively. These could include a portion of fibro patients, but 67% of fibro patients have antipolymer antibodies or APA. And a later study found that only 21.05% of fibro patients had the antipolymer antibodies, and there was no significant difference between fibro and healthy controls. So that's disappointing. It could be that patients with more severe symptoms are a subgroup with this antibody. And then in another study, 5-HT, gangliosides, and phospholipids were found to be higher in fibro and ME/CFS patients. 49% of fibromyalgia patients and 17% of ME/CFS patients had all three autoantibodies. 70% and 55% respectively of patients had at least 2 of these autoantibody types. In other studies, thyroid antibodies were found in 41% of patients, and studies found that the presence of thyroid disease worsened fibromyalgia symptoms. About 62% of people with Hashimoto's disease also have fibro. In addition, the same autoantibodies in Sjogren's syndrome, which affect moisture-producing glands in the mucous membranes, were found in 32% of fibro patients, but only 29% of them tested positive. Still, it was 29%. I don't have those antibodies. I've been checked multiple times for the thyroid antibodies and for the Sjogren's syndrome antibodies, and mine are always negative, even though I have chronic dry mouth and dry eyes. But approximately 1/3 of fibro patients tested positive for the SS, Sjogren's syndrome, biomarkers. It seems to me that there are subgroups of fibromyalgia patients, something I've struggled to understand, but as more research is established, we have to start to accept a different way of thinking about fibro. There are many subgroups of people with fibro, apparently. I mean, I really struggle with keeping my weight off and keeping my A1C and blood glucose under control. But those things may not be difficult for you. Maybe your issues are either Hashimoto's with your thyroid, or small fiber neuropathy, or Sjogren's syndrome. All of this helps to explain that fibro has an overactive immune system. This connection makes fibro a disease of the immune system, and we should never forget that genetics plays a role. So what did we learn today? Well, we need a consensus on those 3 hallmarks of autoimmunity by researchers and the medical community, for that matter, that there is damage from an immune system attack, that there is inflammation as part of the immune and healing process, and that there are autoantibodies, those immune system proteins that target a part of our body. And if this is achieved, fibro would be considered autoimmune. Until then, we're in limbo. So I hope this all made sense to you, and I hope you learned something. I always do when I go over anything that has to do with inflammation or autoimmunity. I send you gentle hugs and support. Love you. Omia with neuropathy. The clock is chiming. My ears are stopped up and my head is feeling stopped up. So hopefully that doesn't mean anything more than allergies. That's what I hope. In the dorsal root. But as more research is, yeah.